Well, then that morning, so he passed away at like 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they, the mortuary came and took his body. And then I had to go tell the kids because they had slept not at the house that night. And I'm like, oh my God, because we were told it was going to be, 4 to 6 weeks. So that was the hardest part, was telling my kids, And so I was blow drying my hair at like 6 a.m. after taking a shower. And all of a sudden, because I'm thinking, how am I going to tell them? All of a sudden, Ian's voice is right in my left ear. I mean, it felt almost like it was probably that blow dryer, but it was like, hot breath on my neck. And he's like, oh my God, Lisa, I love you so much, but it's so awesome here. Yeah. And that was my confirmation that it was real, because, and I'd been talking to angels, but it was all through handwriting. So that was really the first time I heard, a person who had passed away's voice. And he's been with me. I mean, I can tell you so many stories of how he's still with me to this day, 21 years later.
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie. We are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. I have a very special guest lined up for you today, and I'm stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Hey, Cosmic Thrill Seekers. I'm Justin, and this is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together. Leslie, you want to say hi?
Yes, I'm your co-host, Leslie, also known as Light Being Love, an eternal spiritual being having a temporary human experience. And we're very happy to have Lisa Jones with us today. Lisa, would you like to say hi?
Aloha from Maui, Hawaii. Wonderful to be here and thrilled to have this conversation with y'all today.
Ooh, from Maui, girl. All right, very nice. In this powerful episode of Living Life Consciously, we sit down with Lisa Jones, a former CPA turned strategic business oracle, intuitive channel, and spiritual mentor who's transforming the way we think about business, grief, and divine alignment. With nearly 2 decades and experiencing channeling a benevolent being called the Beings of Love and Light, Lisa has helped CEOs, spiritual seekers, and those navigating profound loss to find clarity, grace, and a deeper sense of purpose. She's also the author of The Art of Living Happy After the Loss of a Loved One, and was the host of Exploring Death podcast with over 100K downloads. Today, we'll explore her shared death experiences with her husband, parents, and spiritual teacher, Ram Dass, learn how she receives intuitive guidance for business leaders, and what it truly means to lead a legacy-driven life without regret. Whether you're spiritually curious, navigating a personal awakening, or a high-level leader seeking deeper alignment, this episode is for you. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm so excited.
I'm thrilled to be here. It's just, I love the divine alignment that brought us together.
Absolutely. All right. Is there anywhere specific you'd like to start the conversation, or should I start with a question?
Go ahead and start with a question.
All righty.
Okay.
From CPA to channeling the beings of love and life, what sparked your transformation?
Oh my goodness. Well, it all goes back to the night that my husband passed away. He had been sick for 7 years with lymphoma cancer, and he was not baptized. I was very religious at the time, and so I was very concerned that he was going to go to hell, because that's what I was brought up believing. And so interestingly, along the journey, it was actually right after he was diagnosed, I went for a massage. And as I was on the massage table, I started crying. And the woman said, what's wrong? And I said, well, my husband just got diagnosed with cancer and I'm so concerned. And she's like, oh, well, are you talking to your angels? And I'm like, stop touching me and let me out of the room. Like, I had no idea anything about talking to angels, but being the good girl that I was, I just laid quietly and let her talk about angels. And interestingly, she said that she would always ask them for parking spots. And at that time, I had a 1 and a 3-year-old. And I really needed some good parking spots, because the little town of Ridgefield, Connecticut that I lived in was impossible to find good parking. So
Okay.
After that massage, I started actually asking angels for parking spots. And lo and behold, front and center, everywhere I went, I was blown away. And that was really the beginning of my awakening to connecting to the angels.
Wow.
And so that was kind of the beginning part. And then as my husband got sicker over the 7 years, at near the last 2 years, when I knew that he definitely was going to pass away, I was talking to the angels. I do automatic handwriting with them, and it was so comforting to me to have. And I didn't tell anybody. I thought I was crazy. I mean, I at the same time, I'm a CPA doing numbers and tax
Ah.
returns, and so I'm like, I don't want to tell anybody about this, but in the background, it was really what got me through my husband's dying process. And they kept telling me everything would be okay. And so the night that he actually passed away, hospice had been called that day, and they came and evaluated him and said, it's probably going to be 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even 4 to 6. And I just thought, oh dear, I don't know if I can do this any longer. Because up until that day, he had still been functioning pretty normally. But that morning, he woke up and was unable to get out of bed and was incoherent. And really, it scared me because I still had living grandparents at that point. I hadn't really experienced death. So that day, his brother arrived, his best friend had flown in, and my kids had gone to grandma's that night. And so I hadn't slept for about 24 hours. So the two guys said they'd stay with him while I went and slept in my daughter's bed. And after kissing Ian goodnight on the forehead, I went and lay down in my daughter's room and just started praying to the angels who I'd been talking to. Again, unbeknownst to anyone else, but I just said, please help me, please help us. I know this is the ending, and I don't know if how we're gonna do this. And all I can say is I'm sure I fell asleep because the next thing I know, two angels came and basically escorted my soul out of my body and took
Oh.
me to, all I can say is, the place called heaven, which again, I believe that I was taken to the place that I thought heaven was like. It wasn't a
Sure.
Buddhist monastery. It wasn't a, Islamic kind of place. It looked like
Yeah.
the heaven that I had been told about as a
The
child.
pearly gates and the castle and all that kind
Exactly,
of
the
stuff, right?
pearly gate, exactly, the
Yeah.
rolling hills, the
Yeah.
golden, pathways,
Hmm.
and just gorgeous. And the main thing was the unconditional love that I felt over there was just beyond measure.
Mm.
And in the distance, I could see kind of like a castle and, the gates and all that. And next thing I know, boom, we were inside the castle.
Mm.
And they took me up to this balcony where I could look down. I'm getting chills as I'm talking about it. It takes me right there every time. And I could see down below all of these souls gathering together. And I started hearing trumpets going. And I hear this announcement: the Grand Mr. Ian Sharp is about to arrive. And all the souls were like, oh, he's coming home. And then choirs started singing, and there were banners, flowing. And it was like this cacophony of excitement that was
Excitement, yeah.
yeah, rising and rising and rising. And then all of a sudden, this giant door, everybody all looked at the same time over to the door, the gates were opening, and they're like, oh my God, here he comes. And the door starts, you know,
Oh,
Oh.
open,
wow.
opening. And right at that moment, I start to see a foot like come through. And then there was a knock, knock, knock. Lisa, wake up, wake up. Ian just took his last breath, and it was his brother
Oh,
sitting
wow.
with him. And right at that moment, before I saw Ian enter, it was like a trap door opened, and I could feel my soul just pop back into my body.
Oh,
And
wow.
it like propelled me, it like bounced me out of the bed. And all of a sudden I was standing, and I was completely, I didn't even know what had happened. I was so happy. And yet I was so perplexed because I'm like, oh my God, I was just told my husband died.
Sure.
So it was such a mix of emotions.
Mm.
So I opened the door, and I just, ran past my brother-in-law down to my bedroom where my husband's body laid. And I could tell that he was not there. It was just a shell, that his soul was gone. And I
Mhm.
mean, again, a mix of emotions at that moment
Mm.
because I didn't know. I'd never had an out of body shared death experience like that. So
Yeah.
you
Wow.
mentioned losing a loved one.
And so, like, when people wake up from, a very lucid dream, it's like, or even just a very vivid dream, they tend to lose it. So you woke up, to that awful news about your husband at the same time as recalling everything that happened, like, completely.
Totally. Yeah. And it's still to this day, as I recount it, it just comes vividly back into my mind, which again, I don't know if you've had those experiences of a dream that doesn't feel like a dream. It feels so real that you
Yeah.
like,
Mhm,
never
mhm.
forget it. And
Yeah.
this is for
That's
me.
that was
Yeah.
an amazing experience to have,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see, him entering heaven,
Oh, oh
basically,
my
that,
God. And it gave me
and the
that
joy behind it.
the
Yeah.
joy and the unconditional love that I felt there. That was the thing that I'll never not remember that. And again, I've got chills as I talk about it
I was
because
having full body chills when you were telling the
yeah,
story.
right, right. And to me that's truth. That's absolute truth. And so I am so not afraid of dying. Like I can't, not that I can't wait to go, but I am just like I just know, and plus I've interviewed over 100 near death experiencers and
Yeah.
had amazing experiences. Not to say that there aren't those dark ones, but I like to focus on the positive ones.
We do too. Right.
Good, 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 good.
Yeah,
So that's
So,
basically how, what was your original question, Allie? How it all started? And
Mhm.
basically that was it for you at that moment? Because I recall you having a possible near death experience as an infant, right? Do
yes,
you
yeah,
think
that's
that opened
another
you up to like
well, I
things,
think
or,
yes,
but
I
you don't
think that
recall that until adulthood? Is that correct?
yeah,
Or,
I didn't
okay.
recall that until maybe 3, 4 years ago now, maybe. I was being taken on a guided meditation, and it just took me back to such a vivid experience. Again, again, I don't know, is this a memory? Is this what happened? Is it something I made up? I don't know, but it was so visceral because I was given up for adoption, and I was in it was called the, gosh, now I'm Florence Crittenden Home for Unwed Mothers in Denver, Colorado.
Mhm.
And so after my mother gave me up, I went into basically, I don't know what, a nursery for a week or so before my adopted parents came to get me. So random people were taking care of me. And
Mhm.
in this recollection, I know I had colic. My mom that adopted me told me that I cried constantly for about, 4 to 6 months after she adopted me. And so I know I had colic and I cried a lot. And so in this remembrance, I remember a woman just picking me up and just being so frustrated that she shook me. And
Oh
I
no.
popped out as that little baby. I'm like, I'm out of here because one, being taken from your mother,
That's traumatic.
it
Yeah.
was so traumatic. Like, what happened? I got born and now I'm on my own. I have nobody
And now
consistent.
this nurse is shaking me,
Yes. Yeah.
when I'm
Yeah.
already in distress. That's very traumatic.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So in this recollection, I popped out and I went to heaven and I was surrounded by all these angels and they were cooing me and holding me and just giving me again that unconditional love that I felt. And maybe that's why I'm just putting that together. It felt so familiar when I had that out of body experience with my husband.
Ah.
Maybe it was going back, but they told me it wasn't my time. I had to go back, to the baby body. And so I came back, but I mean, as a child, I told my mom who adopted me, I said, "Oh, well, this was God's plan. You couldn't have a baby. So another mommy had
You were
me."
connected with God.
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, what 4-year-old says that, right?
Right, right. Yeah, that's some pretty divine knowledge to drop on your adoptive mom.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, and I would see, outside my window at night, I would see cowboys and Indians. We lived in the mountains of Colorado, which I'm sure there were a lot of deaths
Yeah.
and, people that were hanging
absolutely.
around
And
at that
cowboys and
time.
Indians. Yes. That
Yep.
makes
Right,
sense.
right, absolutely. And so I'd go and, tell my mom, and she'd say that I was just, making things up or whatever. But again, now that I know what I know, I'm like, I was not making that up. I for
Right.
sure,
Yeah.
because then I'd be laying in her bed and I'd see him out her window, so.
Correct. That's
Wow.
And ETs too. Oh, that was the other thing. ETs would come to me at night when I was little. So I would have to like lay a certain way or else they'd put medicine in my mouth and like put needles in my toes. And again, what 4 or 5-year-old could even come up with
Think of
that
that.
scenario,
right.
right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how often did you have those kind of visitations?
Oh gosh. That
Was it
felt
like
like
regular?
regularly. Yeah,
Like I'm sitting here
regularly.
thinking like she knew she had to lay a certain way for a certain thing not to happen, which means that certain things happened enough times before that that she knew and had this regimen of like protecting herself.
Yeah.
So how
Exactly.
wow.
I know, and it's funny because I mean, I've not talked so much about this at all, so I don't even know how I knew what position to be in, but it was kind of like it was almost like because if like we have free will, right? So you
Yeah.
can command them not to do certain things, and I think my little young self like knew that if I went into this one position that they
Mhm.
knew they couldn't, you know,
Yeah,
Wow.
but maybe it
attack
could have
me
been a
again.
repressed memory. Like maybe whatever happened before that, it was repressed. And
Yes.
your subconscious knew that you
Right.
had to be this certain way.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's possible.
Were
Yeah.
your alien experience memories always there, or did you? I'm sorry if you already answered this, but like, did they just recently come back? Was it something you just remembered recently, or is that something that always has been a memory for you?
The which one?
The alien experience.
Oh, no, I've had that since I was little, since I was like that 3 or
Mm,
4-year
Yeah.
old. Like, that's been
wow.
with me this whole time, and
Okay.
seeing, spirit outside windows and seeing spirits around, that
Right.
was I mean, that's all very real and vivid since the time I can
Wow.
remember.
Yeah, that
I'm already blown away by her
me too.
story. Like she's already had an
Me too.
NDE at a couple weeks old. As a
Uh-huh.
child, she's seeing spirits, having
Yeah.
interactions with aliens. And then unfortunately, by the way, I feel the need to say I'm sorry for the loss of your husband. I just
Oh, well,
flat
thank
out
you.
say that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that
I
experience.
always say it woke me up to life, so I'm so
Yeah.
Oh
grateful for
wow.
it
But
even though
that's
Right, but
so
I just
amazing that you got to see him enter
I
heaven,
know.
you
oh
know?
my
I know.
That's the
gosh.
first time I've ever
Wow.
heard
Like
that. And that's
Especially since you really
amazing.
thought he was going to go to hell. And I just think that's
Right?
just so great to give you that
what a
gift. So,
reassurance.
Yeah.
yeah, you can live the
I
rest of your
always
life
I
fully.
always say it was divine dispensation because I think that God knew that if I didn't see that, I would have spiraled and probably not been able to take care of my children or I don't know what. I think I was so brainwashed that God's
Mm.
like, "Okay, let's give this girl a little grace because she can't she can't live in this torment, you know?" I mean, that's I'm just so grateful because it's really opened me up because well then that morning, so he passed away at like 2 o'clock in the morning and then they, you know, the mortuary came and took his body and then I had to go tell the kids because they had slept not at the house that night and I'm like, oh my God, because we were told it was going to be, you know, 4 to 6 weeks. So it was that
Mhm.
was the hardest part was telling my kids, you know. And so I was blow drying my hair at like 6 a.m. after taking a shower and all of a sudden, because I'm thinking, how am I going to tell them? All of a sudden, Ian's voice is right in my left ear. I mean, it felt almost like it was probably the blow dryer, but it was like, you know, hot breath on my neck. And he's like, oh my God, Lisa, I love you so much, but it's so awesome here.
Ah!
Yay.
It's
Oh,
just and
just to hear him so
that was my
joyful.
confirmation that that it was real because and he had I you know I'd been talking to angels but it was all through handwriting. So that was really the first time I heard, you know, a person who had passed away's voice.
Mm,
And he's been with me. I mean, I can tell you of so many stories of how he's still with me to this day, 21 years later and guiding
wow.
me and helping me and just making amazing things happen for me and my children.
Awesome.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Aw.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. I love
What's
talking about it. It's my favorite thing.
what's some of his most like typical ways to let you know he's still around you?
Well, for
Is he like a
sure.
jokester or is he like a
Um,
romantic or like what does he
no, I'd
do?
say he's more like well, I'll tell you this one that is just so phenomenal. But he is a
Okay.
dragonfly because he
Okay.
loved Lord of the Rings. Like the night before he died, we stayed up all night talking, and he said, "You got to buy the boxed edition of Lord of the Rings when it comes out, you know, for Christmas for the kids and everything." And he read that to them when they were little, like
Oh
starting at,
wow.
you
Wow.
know,
Okay.
All
2 and
right.
3 years old. So, so anyway, so he always would come to us as a dragonfly. That's his symbol, you know, whenever we're out and about. And I mean, just like, for example, my daughter would be dancing. She was in a dancer her whole young life. And, you know, we'd come out in the middle of winter after um, a big
Performance.
performance, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden a dragonfly would come up and like circle her head and then come up to
Wow.
it's winter time. Like there's no
Mhm.
dragonflies in Connecticut in winter time. So
Sure.
So, those are the types of things like he would just show up, or she and I actually, about 5 years ago, we went to Thailand and we were with the elephants and all of a sudden she's like,
Oh,
look, mom. And we look up and there was like a swarm of dragonflies, all around us.
Wow.
So,
wow, that must have
but
been so much fun.
Yeah.
oh, it was so great. It's so great. But interestingly, so this wasn't a dragonfly, but like right after COVID, I think it was 2022, that where I was living in a cottage couple streets down from me, they were increasing my rent dramatically. And I just was like, oh my God, this is insane. I don't know if I can stay here. Well, I didn't want to stay there, but I was like, where am I gonna look to live? And I thought I was having a heart attack. And I'm like, I'm just going to go to the beach and die because I'm not, I just can't. And I had a little old dog. And I'm like, it's so hard to find anywhere to live here on Maui. So I
Mm.
went to the beach. And again, I think Ian had this all planned. So I'm down at the beach, and then I run into this woman, and I'd never met her before. And I told her my plight. I was crying, and she's like, "Oh, well, my neighbors just found out that their person's leaving from their cottage, so let me introduce you to them." And I said, "Okay, great." So she introduced me, and they say, "Well, tell us a little bit about you." And I said, "Well, I'm a former CPA, Pricewaterhouse, San Francisco." They said, "Oh, our investment advisor used to work there. Do you know this gentleman's name?" And I'm like, oh my God, not only do I know his name, that was my late husband's roommate 30 years ago, who
Oh
he
my
lived with
God.
for 2 years that we dated. And he was
Wow.
at my wedding. And they
Yo.
were
Oh my
like,
gosh.
the cottage is yours.
Wow. Ian
And I just got
totally
full body chills
facilitated
again.
that.
So that
Right?
was
Me
totally
too.
your
Look at
husband.
my arm. I'm just
Oh,
like, it
Oh,
lights me up every single time. I mean, you can't
wow.
make that up, right?
Ian,
Right,
Ian
right.
totally facilitated that from the other side.
Absolutely.
Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
put you on that beach.
Right.
He put that lady on that
Yeah.
beach. He knew what the
Yes.
cottage was going. Love
I
that.
know.
Love that.
And even the woman that moved out, like she had to go suddenly. I mean, the whole thing was so orchestrated. And that's what I
Yeah.
love it
Divine
so
alignment.
much. When you're in alignment like that, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
Right, right. I
Awesome.
mean, I have a very similar type of story that happened with my father when he passed away last year.
Mhm.
Basically, um, I had to help my sister fly to the place where we were having his funeral at, and her plane ticket was a certain amount. And on the way up there, my bank account actually had the same exact amount as her plane ticket, and so that happened.
And there was angel
And
numbers
there was
involved
angel numbers
in
everywhere,
those numbers.
right? The angel
Mhm.
numbers everywhere. So my name is Justin, and my dad gave me a nickname of Just in Time because I was, just in time
Right.
for whatever,
Right.
right? And on the way up there, Allie and I are driving, and we pass an 18-wheeler with a tractor trailer, and I'd never seen this company's logo before, but it was Just in Time.
Like right
Oh
there, right next
my
to us.
God.
So we
Yeah,
got angel numbers going on all
right.
day long. Then this 18-wheeler goes by with just in time on it. I'm like, yo, your dad is here. Like, there's
Absolutely,
no way he's
absolutely.
not
Right.
here.
There's no
And then
doubt.
And
Yeah.
then the whole dragonfly thing is synchronistic also
Mhm.
because my mom said that he's a dragonfly. And we were at Allie and I were at a concert shortly after getting back from his funeral. And who was it? Oh, Sammy Hagar. We went
Uh-huh.
to go see Sammy Hagar. And
I
as
don't
Sammy
remember
is
who it was.
singing, as he's singing, a dragonfly comes and lands on his microphone.
On the microphone. Like I'm sitting there looking at him singing on the big screen. All of a sudden, he's like this close to it.
Right.
It just goes doop and lands right there. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whoa.
I'm like, oh my God, that's my dad.
That is so cool.
How often does an insect or let alone a dragonfly land on
Especially with all the
On
famous
speakers
singers'
and all them
Yeah.
sound
microphone
waves, they don't
as
be out
right,
around that stuff.
right?
That's not where they want to be.
No, that would not be the choice. Yeah, where they'd want to be. Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
incredible. I love those stories.
so it is amazing when those types of situations happen and
Yeah,
it's in an alignment with your loved one.
Yep.
It
absolutely.
definitely I know in my mind 100% fact that he is around us.
Yeah, I
Because
love
of
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's no longer faith, it's fact. I love that you
Right.
just because it's not like it's not like, oh, I believe. It's like,
Right.
no, it's
I
for
know.
sure.
It's
I
a
know.
knowing. It's a
It's a
knowing.
knowing.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
that's so
love it.
amazing.
Oh my gosh. I have a great story about a sign too. And again, I don't know if it was Ian or just my guides in general, but so I did get remarried after my husband passed. And again, I know Ian set that up too. It was beautiful and he adopted the children. He's a wonderful man. But
Aw.
after 14 years, we just decided that it was time to go separate ways. I had always wanted to move to Hawaii and he decided that he didn't want to. And so we had a conscious uncoupling. But as I was driving across the country, because we were living in South Carolina and I had to drive my car out to LA,
Mm.
and I was in the middle of the state, somewhere probably in Missouri or somewhere, and I was just crying. I was just absolutely beside myself. And I said out loud, I'm like, oh my God, did I make the right choice? And I'm driving, and then all of a sudden traffic just comes to a complete stop. And I look in front of me and there's a box truck and it says the right choice, the best choice.
Oh,
Was like,
Oh my
oh my
gosh.
God. So I have a photo of
Yes.
that and I actually have it. I have it up on my desk because it just reminds me like
Yeah.
whenever you need a sign, like it's a literal sign, like you saw,
Yeah.
just time.
You should
Wow.
send that photo to us so we can put it on the
Okay.
screen.
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
that's
cool.
a great idea.
I would love to edit that in. for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah,
I
that'd be
love
cool.
that.
I
Yes.
love stories like this. This is awesome.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's like, people always want evidence and they're like, show me the proof, show me the proof. And then you give examples like that, and it's like, you literally can't deny it. The
Right,
fact that you
right,
can't
right.
deny it should be proof in and of itself. You know what
I
I'm
know.
saying?
Absolutely.
But you know what?
Absolutely.
I feel like skeptics always, though, even if hearing these stories, they would still find something.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
thing about skeptics is, and I used to be my own biggest skeptic. I was like, this can't be true. But after doing it so many times that you finally are just you
Mhm.
surrender, and then more comes. That's the exciting
Mhm.
Right, right.
Mm.
is
The-
If
that
you're open to it, you're
Yes.
gonna get the signs, and if
Yeah.
you're not,
Exactly.
then you might get sent the signs, but you're not gonna notice them.
No, you're gonna totally miss it. You're gonna just
Yeah.
filter it out of your system. Another great story. I love this one. So my son
Okay.
went to Clemson University, and the year that he graduated, well, they went to the national championship like 3 times while he was there. He's like a lucky charm. Wherever he didn't play, obviously, but just being he's always like a part of teams that go to the championship. Like his soccer team won the state championship in his senior year and all that. So
Awesome.
anyway, but he had flown out here to Hawaii right after he graduated, and then and Tulane was going to go, or sorry, not Tulane. That's where my daughter went. Clemson was going to the national championship in San Jose, and Ian says to me, "Have Robbie go to the game." And so, and I don't like to like shove it down my kid's throat, like, "Hey, Dad just said, to go to the game." But I just said, "Hey, are you thinking of going?" And he's like, "Oh no, they're underdogs. They're not going to win. I just think it wouldn't be great." Ian's like, "I'm going to help them win." And I'm like, "I really think you should go. I think it's going to be a good time." And so he ends up going, meets up with a bunch of friends, and they go. Well, they end up winning 44, I think it was to 16 against
Ooh.
Alabama, which
Ooh.
my husband was 44 years old when he died. He
Ooh.
died on 2/22 in 2004.
Oh my.
It was
Wow.
like, I think he helped them win. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the odds of an underdog team winning
Yeah.
at 44? Like, isn't that just
Right.
wild?
That's my
It is
favorite angel
wild.
number, by the way. So that's
Yeah, me-
another
It is.
synchronicity.
Me
Right.
too. Me too.
I feel like
love
your
it.
husband entered, the joy of heaven and gets to also spread joy down. Like
Yes.
somehow he's like being able to like, oh, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make this,
Totally. No,
fun.
he's been my biggest angel, biggest supporter, just all every step of the way. He's just been amazing. And I call him my heavenly husband. I'm like, this is better than, a real life husband.
Because he can pull strings from behind the scenes that you can't do
Exactly.
here. So
Yeah, you can't do some of this stuff on this side. So yeah, it's really fun.
I wanted to also say that we have spoken with somebody, her name is Amber Kasich, who had a shared death experience with her father, Frank, who was a cop. And he too, from the other side, is communicating with her and helping her make
Mhm.
moves on Earth. Like, so
Wow.
it's these shared death experiences are so fascinating to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love that. I love it. I know. And it's interesting. I think people don't realize that a shared death experience happens quite often, but again, people are so resistant. It's always the question, is that really them? Is that really, am I making this up? And so I
Mhm.
always like to say, just fully believe it, and the more you do, the more
Mhm.
confirmation will come your way.
I feel like
Right
the
on.
programming that we grew up with is so strong, and it's so hard for people to get over that programming,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
I feel like us having conversations like this and doing the show is helping to spread awareness and helping to open
That's
people's
literally my
minds.
motivation. That's literally why we do the show.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And this is what's funny. I've been talking about this for 20 years. And I mean, 10, 15 years ago, even when I started doing my Exploring Death podcast, like people just weren't that interested. It's only been in the last, I would say, year and a half, 2 years that people are really, really much more interested. I feel, again, I think it's the shifting of everything that's happening on planet Earth
Yeah.
and people's awareness. I mean, the veils are thinning, and so people are actually starting to see more and more confirmation for themselves. So there's more
Mhm.
interest in it.
Speaking
Absolutely.
of awareness, let me use that as a transition to highlight this beautiful book right here, Be Here Now by Ram Dass. And I know you have met Ram Dass and had an
Yes.
experience with him. Can you please share that
Absolutely.
with us?
They always say when you come to Maui, you're either welcomed or, things go awry and you just get kicked off the island. But I feel like I
Mm,
had a red carpet rolled out for me
Oh,
within the
wow.
first week of arriving. I was out on a whale boat and I met a gentleman who's told me about Ram Dass. And I'd heard of Ram Dass, but I didn't know, I hadn't read his books or anything. But I said, "Oh, well, if there's anything ever happening, I'd love to know about it and come, meet him or whatever." And he said, "Oh, well, he's having a big event at the MAC, which is the Maui Arts and Cultural Center." And so it was a big fundraiser. And he said, "I just heard there was an extra ticket. So would you like that?" I said, "Oh, great." Well, it turns
Oh,
out it was his primary caregiver's extra ticket. So I was sitting right next to Ram Dass during this
oh, wow.
event. So that was where I met him. And it was so funny because his followers who had been with him for like 40 plus years, they're all looking at me like, who is she? Like, why is she sitting with Ram Dass? And
Mm.
I don't know how this happened, but here I am. And then,
Your
it's
husband,
it's
probably.
divinely guided.
yeah, there you go. My
Your
husband. Thanks,
heavenly
Ian.
husband.
So then,
Awesome.
fast forward another year or so, and I started hospice volunteer training. And so his primary caregiver was in that class with me. So we got to be pretty good friends. And so then he started inviting me over to Ram Dass's home and sitting in kirtan and actually going over. And Maharashi was his leader. And we had strands of the blanket that we would tie onto these little bracelets that he would hand out at his events.
Oh.
And I was just blown away, by all of this. And meanwhile, I'm tying these knots and thinking,
Mhm.
I thought I was going to get to see Ram Dass, and I was, there's only like 5 or 6 of us there, and I'm like, no, I'm just here like doing all this work, and then my mind is like, just relax, just calm down. And so I just got into tying the knots. Well, then of course Ram Dass rolls into the room. He was in a wheelchair,
Wheelchair. Yeah.
and because he had had a stroke several years
Yeah.
ago. And I was just like, "Oh my god." I mean, once again, the ego, right? I was so, like, attached to, like, I need to have this experience with Ram Dass, and then once I let it go, then it actually did show up. And so
Yeah.
he gifted us each one of those bracelets, that we had done, and he just looks into your eyes, and it's called darshan, where he just, like, penetrates you with this enlightened energy. So we were very connected, even though I wasn't a big follower per se. But I would just run into him all over the island, just going out to dinner or whatever. It was funny that we just kept getting put in the same place. I used to swim with him in the mornings. There would be a group that would swim here in Maui. And so then on December 22nd, another 22nd,
Well,
uh,
22. So one, two,
yeah,
two, two. Go ahead.
right? Exactly, exactly. So I lay down for a nap that day, which I don't normally do. But when I got up, I had just stood up next to my bed. And the next thing I know, I got pushed, I got shoved, and I fell onto my bed. And I say, Ram Dass, what are you doing? And I'm like, why did I just say that? That's so random, so weird. And then within an hour, I got a text that he had passed away.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
And so I'm like, "Oh my god, that was literally Ram Dass, like, pushing me off of my feet
Yes. And
because
I
of
have
why
chills
again, why
again.
else, right? Why else would I say that?" Well, then the next day, so this was now December 23rd, I was at a chiropractor's, and I was laying on the table, and all of a sudden, I just felt Ram Dass's energy just floating above me, and in my mind, I'm like, "Ram Dass, go to the light, go to the light." Lisa, you are the light. And then he just floated down his energy, just, I mean, again, chills. And I just started weeping of tears of joy and love. I mean, it was just pure unconditional love.
That's
And
amazing.
then on Christmas Day, I got invited to go to his home, and his body was laying in repose, and we all sat around and prayed for him. And I was able to go up and put my hands on his chest. And I shut my eyes and I hear him say, "Are you ready to go?" And I'm like, "Yep." And next
Oh,
thing I know, he took my soul and his soul and just took me out into the universe and took me around all the stars and all the planets. And it was probably 5 minutes. I just stood there with my eyes closed, but my soul was with him, and then came back to earth and back into my
wow.
body. So
Oh.
I'm
That's amazing.
literally sitting here with like my mouth open
Yeah.
like a
right.
freaking idiot because I'm like, hold on, you just got a guided cosmic tour from Ram
Yes.
Dass's soul.
Yes, totally. It was amazing. And so he drops in. I've got photos of him in my cottage, and he's just pure unconditional love. I just adore
I'm
him.
He's
so
amazing.
grateful to be in the presence of somebody who has had that close of a relationship with
Yeah,
Ram Dass.
yeah, right,
Like,
right.
I don't know if this is ever gonna happen again. You know?
And
I know, right? I'm blown away. Like I
right.
don't even think I realized, how special these moments are because they've happened
Uh-huh.
so often, but my God. So thank you. I appreciate that reflection because
No, really.
yeah.
I mean, you got a space tour
Uh-huh.
from Ram Dass's
Yeah,
soul.
a
Who
space
else on
tour.
this planet can say that? I mean,
I know. I
Absolutely,
probably
absolutely.
probably
And then it was
nobody.
all like, by chance, but I really don't think it was by chance. It was probably like somewhere in the blueprint or like, divinely guided with your heavenly husband or whatever. But
Yeah.
it's
Ex-
amazing. Yeah.
exactly. I love it. I love it. Yes. My
my cheeks are
concierge.
hurting already. Normally they don't start feeling like this till like at the end of the show, but like I'm already cheesing the whole time. So
Me too.
Yeah.
Lisa, you're
So I don't know if the audience is aware or not, but there's a documentary about Ram Dass and where they show him in his end stages of his life.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
yeah, it's after he had a stroke and he's in his chair. And
Mhm.
I think they even talked about those bracelets,
I'm gonna
Yeah,
if
have
I
I
to
think
watch
remember
that
so.
again.
correctly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they talk
Yeah.
about us swimming. I think there's video of us
Yeah.
swimming in the ocean with him, and
You were one of
yeah,
those people in that documentary?
maybe so. I don't know.
Oh,
I forget which day they did the filming, but
Okay.
yeah, I've got some photos of being with him.
Yeah, that's so
I'll see
cool.
if I can find that Darshan because I have a photo of him handing me the bracelet. It's kind of like backlit, so I'll see if I can find that and
Okay.
send it to you guys.
do
Oh my
me a
gosh.
favor
I
and
want to go to
tell me,
Maui.
what is darshan? What does that mean? Is that just like an
Oh, well,
intense gaze, or
darshan,
what is
it's
that?
just a I think it's a Sanskrit word just for like what is it? Like moving energy from like your guru, like receiving darshan is like
Oh,
receiving the
Ah.
energy from
Okay.
I'm
your
wondering if
master.
that's like the Catholic, and like if that's like a Catholic analogy to receiving Holy Communion, maybe. I
Yeah,
don't know.
maybe so. Maybe so. Yeah,
That's
again,
Okay.
I'm sure
I'm a
somebody will
recovering
tell us.
Catholic, so I'm trying to like
I'm
learn.
I'm sure I'm sure somebody will enlighten us in the
I mean,
comments about
even though,
that.
No,
So
I think
please
we
do.
all, I think we all like realize that we are all of one and that we're all connected and one on, fully on the other side. There's like levels or some dimensions or whatever. But um, I feel like when that happened, when he looked, into your eyes and gave you that transfer of energy or whatever, like that's somehow connected you to, even though you didn't know him for long, somehow that was like the,
it totally was. I thank you for saying that, Leslie, because I totally agree. I mean, it just, and the transfer of energy, that's what it was. It was a total boom, like we are one. And it just blew me open. It was
Wow.
amazing. And I think that's why then when he died, because it wasn't much longer after that he passed away, that
Okay.
that
Yeah.
that he came by and did the whole shove and then the the blanket thing the next day.
Oh
yeah.
wow.
And then really to think, and after hearing so many different stories of near death experiences and like who and what we are and what we're capable of and everything, but like you can be, many places. He could be to everybody he's ever connected with at the same time he's doing that to you.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
so that's just
Yeah.
another thought that I had, I guess,
Yeah,
is like how that happens, you know?
I
It's weird.
know.
And one of my favorite Ram Dass quotes that I use all the time,
Oh,
I can't even
yeah,
tell you how many times I've posted this quote, but it's that we are all just walking each
Walking
other
each other
home.
home.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Yeah, because with again the hospice work I do and all the death doula and things like that. Yeah, we're literally just walking each other home every
He
day.
was a
We're
death doula too, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean
uh
to cut you off. I'm
no,
sorry.
that's okay. Who Ram Dass?
Wasn't he a death doula also? No?
No, I wouldn't say he was a death doula, but he was very he came and taught actually at our death doula training. So
Okay,
he
okay.
I mean, he's a master. Like he's
Yeah.
definitely I
Maybe
mean,
I
I think
remembered reading some death doula stuff in the book. I don't know. It's been a minute since I read that book. But anyways, I'm
yeah.
still fangirling about you meeting Ram Dass and getting a
absolutely,
soul
I
portal.
know.
absolutely.
I feel so blessed. I feel like that, yeah, just what a
I
blessing.
And
wonder, oh, sorry, go ahead, Justin.
oh, you can, you
Okay,
can
I
go.
was just gonna say, I wonder if you'll have more shared death experiences to come. I mean, he was your last one, but you also had one with your mom and your dad at their
Yes.
passings, correct?
Yeah. And they were prior to Ram Dass. And again, well, my mom's was crazy. So she actually died after my dad, but I had gone to visit her. She was in Kauai. I was still living in Connecticut at that time. And she was there for a month. And I we just had such a great time together. And it was funny because I have friends in Kauai and I was ready to go for a hike or go out and do something. And then I had a flat tire or one day I wasn't feeling well. So I just spent so much time with my mom that trip, and
Mhm.
she was actually feeling very concerned about, like, she said, "I just feel, very anxious about the end of my life. Like, I have all these things I wish I could still
Ooh,
do."
she felt it
And
coming. She
yeah, I think
knew.
she did. And again, I didn't
Mhm.
understand that at the time, but I took her on a guided meditation where she went in and pulled all the weeds from her life's garden and then planted new ones. And she said, "Oh my God, that was so helpful." And during the guided meditation, her little cat came in, and her cat's name was Senta Kitty, like God sent a kitty to her. So
Oh,
Oh.
Senta, I know Senta was in her little meditation and everything, and that was so sweet. And I was glad I was able to help her. Well, then as I was leaving, pulling my suitcase to my rental car, I feel like I walked through a threshold because it's like I was just walking along, and then all of a sudden, "You'll be back in a week, and something will have happened to your mother." And I'm like, "What? Like what? No, nope, dismiss. Delete. I don't know what that was, but no, but it felt like such a
Mhm.
transition. I don't know. I can't explain it other than that. Well, then exactly a week later, I get a phone call from my stepdad, and he said, "Oh my God, your mom just had a stroke. You need to come back."
oh,
And so
wow.
Oh.
I flew back, and well, actually, before I flew back, I repacked. I had flown home and then went to Ireland for a week for my nephew's confirmation, and then I had just gotten home from Ireland, and that's when I got the phone call. So I repacked my bag and I laid down. I had 2 hours, and when I laid down on the bed, all of a sudden I was awake. I know I was awake, but my eyes were closed. But I felt a cat jump up onto my bed, and it was not my cat. It was Senta
Mhm.
Kitty. And I could hear her purring, and I could feel her, you know how they do the little kneading on the bed?
Egg
Mhm.
biscuits.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
little, yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
And I could feel that. And then right at that moment, as I'm realizing what's happening, my mom's energy just came over me like a tsunami. She said, "You said we'd be able to talk when I go to the other side." And I'm like,
Ah!
oh my God, mom, but it was again pure unconditional love, and just she was just pouring all this love into me. And I was just
Wow.
blown away. And so then I had to go to the airport, and I called my brother on the way. I said, "Oh my God, mom just came to me. I think she's dead." And he's like, "She came to me too." And she did a whole thing about where he was going to buy a house and all these renovations he was going to make
Oh,
to it and
wow.
everything. So, and I didn't want to talk to my stepdad because I didn't want to think I'm flying from New York to Hawaii, and I didn't want to know that she was already dead. So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
just flew, landed, drove straight to the hospital, walked into the ICU, and she sat up and she looked at me eye to eye. And then she was out, and she was unconscious for 5 more days until she passed.
Wow.
But that was the first time that I realized, wow, you can, I mean, of
Leave
course,
your
now
body while you're
you can leave
still
your
like,
right.
yeah.
Exactly. I was like, holy cow, that was a whole new experience for me to have that happen. And
Wow.
Wow.
yeah, so that was wild with her. And then my dad, who had passed 2 years earlier, he was going to have some surgery, elective surgery. And I was like, Dad, don't do it. I'm like, I'm getting a really bad feeling. Don't do it. Don't do it. And it was for diverticulitis. He just wanted to have
Mhm.
the piece of his colon taken out or wherever it is in his body, stomach or colon or something, because if he ate the wrong foods, it would be uncomfortable. And he really loved traveling the world. So he's like, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm like, no. So he ended up doing it while I was going on vacation. He's like, well, I didn't want to tell you till you were gone, so you couldn't stop me, but I'm going to go for that surgery. Well, sure enough, I got home from my trip. I called, and he had been readmitted to the hospital and basically died
Mm.
the following week. But when I was with him, I flew out, and we were in the room as they unplugged him because he was on all these machines. I could just see like his mom and his dad and his aunt, they were all there welcoming him. And I
Wow.
was like narrating this whole thing for my brother and his wife because they were like, what's happening? And
I mean, you're basically a medium, right? I
right.
mean,
I know. It
that's
just kind of
real.
happens. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Hmm. That's amazing.
Wow, so
I,
cool.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's amazing. And it's also like, it's like, is this really my life? Like, what?
When did you start channeling with all of these,
Well,
happenings throughout
so
your
it
life?
started after Ian's death, so 2004, and I was still doing the automatic handwriting. I would do it via
Which is also a form of channeling. I mean,
right, right. And then it was funny because I worked with Denise Lynn. She's one of my teachers in California, and I met a bunch of wonderful people there. And my friend Barb, who lived in London, came to visit me, and she's like, "Hey, can we ask the angels something?" And I'm like, "Sure, let me get a pad of paper." She's like, "Well, can't you just speak?" And I'm like, "Oh, I never thought of that." Okay. Totally naive, not I had no idea what was gonna happen. So we sit down, and she asked a question, and all of a sudden it felt like a train of energy just fell on me. And I was just like, "Oh my God, make them go away." Like I couldn't, like
oh,
it paralyzed me. I felt like I was floating off the ground, and it
Oh
was like they
wow.
were so excited, but it was way too much for my little body to take. And I
Mm,
had no idea about grounding or
mm.
preparing the situation or any of that. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
freaked me out. So my friend Barb is like, "Shoo, shoo, go away. Angels, go away."
it's funny.
So yeah, it took me a little while after that to like figure out like to do some grounding and call in my ancestors and step to the side and allow it to come through and ask them to dial it down. And yeah, I've
Okay.
learned a lot.
Has that changed? Like, do you think, I mean, you have to get acclimated sort of thing, kind of like you're starting out writing or what do you, automatic writing, and then maybe you jump too soon? Or is it just you had to
Yeah,
get, kind of figure it out? Okay, I got to do
I
like
think
stuff before I do this.
yeah, a couple of things. I think that's yes. It's like you just have to kind of learn how to do it. But also Esther Hicks, she does
Yep.
Abraham. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to some of her early things, and she talked about how when she first started, it was very similar, and you can hear in her voice if you hear her earlier um channelings, she sounds very robotic, and that's how I sounded when I first started too, very
Okay.
robotic, because it's literally modulating your voice. And so, but now she's saying, because I've seen her, it's just her voice. Like she's able to very easily transition in and out of it, which I think again, after 21 years, I've gotten better at that as well. So,
Are you
Absolutely.
familiar with the channeler Daniel Scranton?
yes,
I
yes.
think he doesn't he live in Hawaii too?
Yeah, he does. He does. Yeah, we're like Facebook friends or something. I don't think we've ever met. He might have moved recently. I forget if he's still here or if he moved
Okay.
somewhere.
I'm bringing him up because he is also a channeler, and he has the videos from when he first started channeling on his YouTube, and it's totally different from how
Right,
he channels now. Like when he first started, he said the energy was so intense, he couldn't help but move around. His arms are doing all these wild movements. His
right.
jaw couldn't help but be moving back. I'm not gonna lie, he looked a little crazy. Like it looked a little wild. If you're not
Mhm.
used to that kind of
It,
thing, you're like, whoa, this dude's on drugs, but really
yeah,
he was just
exactly.
channeling. But now he's tamed it down to where it's like a very minimal, but there is a process to when you first start receiving those energies and
Mhm.
Yeah,
learning how to acclimate them and learning how to integrate them and learning how to work through them. There is a learning curve to
for
channeling, I feel
sure.
like. So yeah,
Yeah.
Daniel
Oh, for
Scranton
sure.
went through the same
I've
thing.
heard that through many channelers as well. And didn't,
Even
and they're different.
Bashar
Oh,
sounded a lot
yeah.
differently than he
And
does today.
Tucker, she explains a lot of that too, what she went through, how it felt for her in the beginning. But
Yeah.
anyway, but as far as the beings of light, I keep hearing, initially you were automatic writing with the angels. Are the beings of love and light, are they angels or are they, other beings? Like who are the
Oh,
beings
good
of light?
question.
Yeah, great
Oh,
question. Well, I was working with the angels initially because that's what the massage therapist told me about. So I'm like, okay, angels, I don't know who
Mm.
you are or what. But then over time, I was definitely starting to channel more, and I would say like, well, I need a name, give me a name. And they're like, no, you earthlings want names, and then you get attached to the name, and then you limit the name. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So finally, they said that they're basically a consortium of, multiple pure love and light energies that come together, that come through me. And they would get, the only name they would give me are the beings of love and light, which at the time I was like, are you kidding me? I can never use that because it's so woo woo. Like even on my book, I didn't want the word spiritual on my book. Like I was so like, accounting, like very mainstream. Like I don't want this
I
woo woo
love that. Though I
stuff
love
going
that you
on,
went from that and that you were
right?
Christians.
I know. So I wouldn't even use the name, and I think they purposely did that just so because they knew I wouldn't use that name for the longest
Huh.
time. But I think God
Um,
finally acquiesced to it, and but it's interesting because as I channel, I mean different energies come through. I can feel the vibrational difference between their energy or say an ascended master or past away loved ones are much more dense, heavier energy. It's wild. It's
okay.
definitely
Have you channeled Ram Dass by any chance?
yeah, I mean he definitely comes through. Oh, one of the big ones, this is a really great one, is Robin Williams. I love Robin Williams.
Okay.
really?
And he came to me, and I feel like this is a great message for people that have had suicide, in their families,
Yeah.
because Robin Williams came to me and basically explained that so when somebody dies, typically it's because our physical body passes away, right?
Right.
And we don't, like when my husband died of cancer, nobody's like, oh, I wish I had been there for him, or I wish, something different. It's like, no, he just went through the physical process of his body dying. So what Robin Williams told me is that we have multiple bodies. We have the spiritual body, the mental body, emotional body, and the physical body. And so he said for him, his emotional body died. And the only way then to finish that process is to physically take the physical body with it because it cannot function any further in this lifetime. And again, I've got chills as I'm saying that. And I just felt like it was such an open awakening for me because again, I've had two of my son's two of his really good friends in high school. One has the
Mm.
father, one had the mother. They both independently killed themselves. So suicide has been, you know, in my experience, and I've channeled those people. And so just to understand instead of like, wow, like that was so like they were only thinking of themselves or just some of the platitudes, some of the conditioning that we have around suicide. And when
Sure.
Robin Williams explained that no, it's just a different process of how this body ends up transitioning, and there's no right or wrong, no good or bad. It's just everybody has their time, and so just
Yeah.
to allow that to be rather than to judge it.
Mm.
And I thought that was pretty powerful.
That is a
Yes.
real powerful message. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel
Right.
like suicide is like one of those like still tabooish kind of subjects where it's like people like touch their toes in the water and talk about it a little bit, but then they want to pull back and like not have like a deep conversation about it. But
Mhm.
one thing that I've learned about suicide from listening to like hundreds of NDEs and people that have studied NDEs and written books about it and all that, it's that basically like once you get on the other side, like there's a lot of people that are associating suicide with automatic hell. And it's
Right.
like
Right.
that's not necessarily true. Like you don't have to
No.
worry. Like if somebody in your family committed suicide, you don't have to worry that their soul is automatically damned to hell because it's like
Right.
they
Mm-mm.
transition, they get a life review, they're met with love, they're met with unconditional love, not just love,
Absolutely.
unconditional love.
Unconditional.
And it's just a basically like, okay, well, it's not in other words, like I'm not trying to minimize it, but I'm just trying to make it seem like on a soul level, it's not as bad as we've been taught or thinking.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not to
But I'm
feel
not
like,
saying you should do that. Don't
Right.
No, no, I agree. It's not, it's not
Yeah.
anything that we're
I can totally
condoning.
see too, like Lisa, what you were saying and what Robin Williams was saying. I do want to put it out there because there are people out there that are contemplating this very thing, you know,
Right.
that could be watching
Right.
this. And so,
Yeah.
from what I've learned about near-death experiences, yes, I mean, no matter what, everything's going to be okay. We are spiritual beings having a temporary human experience, but we do have, like, you know, plans and like purposes, and
Yeah.
we can get lost and get real far away from that. And you know, if we can find it within us to figure it out and to bring ourselves back and basically love yourself. I mean, that's really probably where it's all going to start, is, you know, just starting to love yourself. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that the people who do take their lives, you know, when it wasn't really part of their plan, I guess you could say, they are likely to have another life experience to go through that lesson again, and their own soul's going to like want to do it. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. Like, you might as well try to like push through this lifetime.
Because you just have to do it again
Right.
at different body
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm so happy you said that, Leslie.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we could possibly maybe speak with the beings of light.
Sure. Yeah,
that would
let's
be
do it.
amazing.
Speak my kind of my I don't know, what do you call it? The affirmation that I start with, just to kind of get myself ready for it. And then what I'll do is I'll open the channel, and they usually come out with some sort of, you know, proclamation or something. And
Okay.
then it's just open for questions. So whatever you guys want to ask. Does that sound
Okay.
good?
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So let me just kind of get myself. I usually close my eyes. Sometimes I open them
Sure.
as once I get settled, but I usually start with closed eyes. So I call on Archangel Michael to stand behind me, Archangel Raphael to my right, Archangel Ariel to my left, and Archangel Metatron in front of me. I call on all my beings of love and light to come and be pure and unconditional love and light as they come through and bring messages. I ask my higher self to be able to step to the side and allow this energy to flow through without any hindrance. I call on my ancestors, my passed away loved ones, any and all beings on the other side, ascended masters, come through. I'm feeling Ram Dass really heavily right now. Hey Ram, feel free to
Hey.
come through. And any other beings that have messages that would like to come through for the highest and greatest good for all involved. Oh, yes. Hello and welcome. We are so thrilled and honored to be here in front of your audience here today, to be able to bring through messages of love and light to the beings on this planet right now, as there is so much turmoil going on, both within and without. Within each and every individual, there is always angst and consternation happening. And even if you don't feel it at the time, there is just that. It's kind of what you were brought down to planet Earth with in order to navigate. It is your soul's purpose, your soul's lessons, your soul's experience. And so many times when you are off path, it will feel very heavy and hard and dark and difficult. And so that is when you know that it is time to make a change. It is time to pivot and to try something different, because ultimately you are here to experience what love is and what love is not. And when you are experiencing what love is not, that is your cue, that is your idea for moving to a new experience. And many times we feel as though people are stuck and can't move forward. And yet this stuckness is only a figment of your imagination, because there are infinite ways that you could pivot and turn and make different decisions. And so please know that this is your invitation to try something different if whatever it is you're currently doing is not working. This is your invitation to step up and to live life more fully. The one thing that we always hear most often from people that transition and look back upon their life is they didn't realize how much freedom they really did have, and how they had put themselves into a box and kept themselves safe, quote unquote, even though that safety actually kept them from experiencing their true life's desire and joys. And so we just wanted to share that as a little tidbit of information as we get started here today. Do you have any questions specifically for us?
Thank you. That was beautiful guidance. Allie, do you want to ask the first question, or Justin, or should I?
Go ahead, Leslie.
All right. From your higher perspective, what is the true purpose of our existence on Earth? Why do souls choose to incarnate here, especially during such a tumultuous time in human history?
Oh, this is such a beautiful question. And so, because we are all one, as you all know, it is the opportunity to basically, we're going to give the analogy of like a little spaceship that takes off and gets away from the one and gets to come down to this planet Earth and experience a little bit of autonomy on your own, because you have your own self expression, your own self um, beingness that you want to experiment with and try different things. And so Earth is one of the few places that you get to come and forget that you are actually one with all. And so that is the whole idea, is that you get to come down here to experience what love is and what love is not. And so the more you are able to push the envelope about those experiences, the more fully and deeply that your soul aligns with the one, which you are always one. So that is what is so confounding to the human mind, is how can I have my own experience if I'm part of the one? But you're just expanding the collective knowledge of the one by every single experience that you're having. So it brings forth an even bigger experience and expansion of the oneness, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Should I go with another question?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Why does life on Earth feel so difficult and painful at times? Are there deeper spiritual reasons behind the suffering many experience here?
Again, this is the opportunity for each individual to come down and to choose, before they do so, to feel what it's like to expand in love or in what love is not. And so many times these painful experiences are actually just exactly what they desired to have the experience in order for them to grow their soul's consciousness, their expression of who they truly are. And again, there is no right or wrong, even though that is so hard for the human brain to understand. The conditioning behind what is right and wrong and what is good and bad is so prevalent here on planet Earth, which is part of the disguise, the keeping it under wraps, because if all of you were enlightened beings, you might as well just be back in the oneness of everything. And so that is part of the play. It is part of the matrix that you are in, is to have the amnesia. Otherwise, there's no point in actually being here and having your own unique experience of this expansion of your true highest desire.
Thank you. Is there a specific reason why so many people are awakening spiritually now? Is humanity going through a collective shift or initiation?
Yes, this is the time that you have all been waiting for. This collective shift is happening. The consciousness is awakening. The ethers are opening, and there will be a significant shift in 2027. Wait for it. You're going to be excited to be here and to experience
2027.
that shift. So we are thrilled that we are able to now express that and to share this energy with you, all of you. We love you so much, and it is so going to be worth sticking around and experiencing this brand new shift in reality.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
my
Amazing. Can I ask
gosh.
one question? Okay. What is your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
Beautiful question. Again, you will see in 2027 the beginning of this wonderful new expansion experience for humans on planet Earth. And it's going to be, we'll say, different, but the same. It's going to be a whole new experience, but you'll still be able to have your autonomy, but there's going to be much more interaction between one another, telepathy, and all sorts of wonderful expansions. We'll have
Yes.
to start being able to transport much more easily, rather than these old-fashioned airplanes, shall we say, and other types of ways of connecting and communicating with one another. So yes, it's going to be amazing.
Ooh,
Thank
exciting.
you so much for giving us like that hopeful, optimistic, something to look forward to message.
I love it. Yeah.
I guess before, you fully come back with Lisa, was there anything that the beings of love and light wanted to share before?
Overall, we just want you to each one of you that is listening to this broadcast in this exact moment to know how loved you are. Do not give up hope. Do not let anyone talk to you otherwise. Know that you are number one because you are one with all, and that love is available to you all the time. There is always that remembrance of knowing that you are the one, that you are the one, the love, you are love, and don't ever forget that. So please take that with you and put it in your heart and walk forward with that.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm a burst open. That
Amazing.
was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you,
That
Bean.
was wonderful.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Oh, whoa.
Thank
Lisa,
you.
that
I'm like
message
crying.
was so affirming. Oh my God, how beautiful. They gave us that specific 2027 date. They let us know we're all right.
Right.
Oh my God, so hopeful.
Yes, that's amazing.
I
I
love
love it.
it.
I never know what they're going to say. So I'm like, whoa, because that was new. They've never, like, that's the most,
Really?
yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
That
I'm excited.
2027 number keeps coming up
It does.
Yeah.
It
That's
does.
like right around the corner, guys.
I know,
I
right?
know.
It'll be here before you know it.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
fun. That was thanks for asking me. I don't normally, that's only like the second time I've ever channeled on any of the
Dang.
interviews. That's
I-
fun for me.
Oh,
I didn't get to ask Ramdas anything.
Oh yeah, Ramdas. I felt his energy so present. Well, he was part of that consortium, I'll say
yeah.
that.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like the foliage is like celebrating behind you as well. It's like
Right?
dancing
I
all
know.
around and stuff.
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know. We talked about it earlier, but I wanted to show. Yeah, this is real. It's not a green screen. It's my real
Yeah.
right outside my cottage here in Maui.
Is it the same
I really-
cottage that
I wanna
your
go to Maui.
heavenly husband?
Yes, same cottage. I've been here now 3 years. I just signed my 4th-year contract here, or lease with them, and they're just amazing, the best
That's awesome.
landlords ever. So,
Is it really expensive living there?
I don't. I mean, so I have a very small cottage, but I feel like I'm paying as much as my sister does in Denver. So I just would rather be
Really?
here. Yeah,
Okay,
even though
yeah.
it's a place to live.
Cool.
And you just need to know where to buy groceries and things. And like one of the restaurants, has 25% off if you live here. It's called Kama'aina. So you just need to navigate. And Costco's here. Costco is the same prices as are on the mainland. So,
Okay. Okay.
although no, I should say it's really expensive. Don't come here. Don't come here. Too expensive.
Okay. So speaking of Maui, how has living in Maui influenced your spiritual practice and connection to the divine?
Oh, I love that question. So one of the things that I've started doing when I moved here was going down to the beach every morning and doing my yoga practice and then jumping into the ocean. I call it my morning baptism. And I've been doing that every day for 8 years now. I've been
Oh,
here
wow.
8 years. And then in the evenings, I would go down and I walk the beach for sunset because that's the side of the island that the sun goes down. And so I always call it my vitamin C twice a day, and it just has absolutely it grounds me. It keeps me connected to the land, and it's my meditation. It's my It's just I feel like when I don't have for whatever reason I don't get down there, it just feels like my day doesn't get started right. So Maui's been a
you
huge
need
part.
that nature vibe to get
I
it off
do.
right, right?
I
Yeah.
do. And the beauty here is beyond anything. I love beauty. Beauty's like my
Mhm.
number one core value. And living here, it just fills my soul. So it's very exciting.
Awesome.
Mhm.
I'd like
Wow.
to ask you a question about your book. Is that okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. So your book, The Art of Living Happy After the Loss of a Loved One, touches many hearts. What's one piece of wisdom you would like everyone to know from this book?
I think the main reason I actually wrote the book is to help people in their grief to not suffer as much as I think so many of us have done with losing a loved one, and really shining the light on our loved one is still there. It's just they're in a different modality. They're in a different, I equate it to like water. You can put water in a pan, and then when you boil it, it goes into the ethers. It's still there. It's just not the same visual. And so that's what I like to do, is help people cultivate their relationships with their people that have passed away, because they're still there. My husband, as I've mentioned, is still helping me on the other side. And I know, like, your dad is still there, and he's showing
Absolutely.
up, as a dragonfly on, Sammy Hagar's
Yeah.
microphone. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And so if we can all learn to cultivate this relationship with our passed away loved ones, I mean, it's just more love. It's connectedness, it's oneness, and they want to help us. They want us to be happy. They don't want us to be sad. I think that's ultimately,
Right.
yes, we have to grieve. We've lost the physical person, but they don't want us to be sad. They want us to be happy. They want to help us
Yeah.
on our journey. So why not allow that and embrace that, rather than stay in sadness and grief for so long?
Absolutely. Do our audience a favor and tell them where they can find you online, drop your links, let them know what services you offer, what things you have going on, and where they can find you.
Okay, great. Well, my website is called let's see, what is it?
Beingofloveandlight.com.
Thank you. Yes, I was like, going to say the. I'm like, it's not the. Yeah. My website is beingofloveandlight.com. And they're on there. Actually, right now, people can sign up. I do a free 30-minute conversation with people just to help them. I pull cards and show them where they're stuck, what their action is, and what their outcome is if they take that action. And I just love to do it. I've spoken to over, 50 or 60 people since the last time I talked about that, and people all over the world. It's just been amazing. So,
Well, you're
That's
also
an amazing conversation.
you're also on YouTube too, right?
oh yeah, I'm on YouTube too. Yeah, all of my handles are at go to Lisa Jones. So it's pretty easy. You can find me on Facebook or uh, LinkedIn,
Instagram, X.
Instagram. I don't have
Yeah.
TikTok, although my last interview last week was on TikTok. So I guess I have to sign up. I haven't. I've been trying to stay off of social media as much as possible, but it's a good way to connect with people.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I will have the links on the screen as we discuss them, as we're talking about them, and I'll have them all in the video description box below. So if anybody would like to check out what Lisa has going on and
Yeah,
check out the
go look
Being
at
of
that.
Love and Light, that is definitely accessible to you. Man, I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. My cheeks started hurting in the
Right,
first
mine
meeting,
too.
and now we're on the third. So that's cool. Thank you so much for sharing everything, for sharing everything with us and for being so open and honest with your story. I've thoroughly enjoyed this
Me
conversation.
too. Absolutely. Yeah.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Thank
I
you.
love meeting you guys. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a joy.
Absolutely. Is there any
Yeah.
last pieces of advice or things you'd like to convey to our audience before we sign off?
Just again, know that you are loved.
Hey, simple. I
There
love
you
that.
go. There you go.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Lisa.
And I
Thank
feel like
you.
there's so much more that we didn't even get to touch on yet.
Yeah.
So maybe in
I
the
know.
future we can have you back on.
I would love that. I would love that. I know, because part of it is, I just wanted to share part of my husband, a week before he passed, he was
Mhm.
44 when he died. He said that he really regretted his life's work, which was being an attorney for a big corporation. He said, all I did was move numbers around on pieces of paper. I wish I had helped more people. So that's kind of my crusade right now, is really helping business leaders and business owners really tap into what they're doing and why they're here and how are they helping other people. Because at the end
Oh,
of your life, I don't want anyone to have regrets about what they did and how they spent their time here on planet Earth.
yeah.
And helping
Yes.
other people is really, that's what we're here to do.
And
So
that's a big change because, a lot of people in those types of positions are far from spiritual. And so you're
yes,
helping to like bring, conscious living basically to businesses. And that's going to change the world for what we hope to see in the future. It may be
I know.
interesting.
I love it. In fact, I bought the URL Corporate to Consciousness like probably 15 years ago. I don't have the website yet, but I feel like that's what's coming. It's like taking corporate to consciousness and really waking people up
Yes.
and allowing people spirituality to be a big part of their everyday life, rather than, just something they
Absolutely.
do on Sunday or whatever, that's more
Yeah.
religion.
I feel like what you're doing is like bridging the spiritual gap between like business and people's soul missions.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. And it's like, what I don't think people realize is that every business has its own heart and soul. And so I help business leaders get in touch with the heart and soul of their own
I
business.
like that.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
allow it to, the synergy of really allowing your work to again help others at the end of the day. Because again,
Yeah.
corporate America, it's all about profit and
Right.
And
Right.
that's just not the way to go. That's
Right.
killing us. It's killing all of us. So we need to be more mindful of helping one another and
More
And-
love.
I
more
love
love.
that. I absolutely love that.
Same.
I
And
really
it's
do.
not lost on me that the name of our show is like Living Life Consciously, where we're trying to give people tools to live more consciously. And now here you are giving business people tools to live more
That's right.
spiritually. So it's
I know. I love
we're
it.
all
I
on this
know.
soul mission to bring more awareness to this
Yes,
kind of
yes,
business
right.
aspect of things here.
And
on
that
Earth.
whole the strategic business oracle, that's all about. I also, I don't know if you're familiar with human design. Have you done any
Yes.
work?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love human design. Yeah. So I'm a projector. So I'm here to
Me
actually
too.
lead and guide. You are too. Leslie. That's awesome. Do you know what your authority is?
It's
Are you
5-1. So
okay?
Emotional.
Emotional?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I'm a self-projected projector, so I never know what I'm going to say till it comes out of my mouth, and then I'm like, "Oh, whoa, that's interesting." And so that's what I help businesses do is by just
Okay.
sitting with them and chatting with them. All of a sudden, I just come up with these ideas. I also have the Freak to Genius channel, which like I just come up with ideas after they tell me what they're doing, and they're like, "Oh my God, I never thought of that." I'm like, "Really? It's obvious, you know?" Like,
Uh-huh.
so yeah, so I'm using
Amazing.
my projector and my that Freak to Genius zone to help businesses like really hone in on things that they're missing, you know. And then with
Yeah.
my CPA background, I can look at their financials and be like, oh, you know, let's take a look over here where you're losing some money and change it the other way.
Wow.
There you go.
Everybody call her and get
Yeah, right.
That's right. Sign up.
on the right foot.
Yeah, I also feel the need to give Donald a shout out for he's also into human design, and he too is looking into starting to like consult people into how to have a better business and a better
Yeah.
family relationship through design, and he did all 3 of our charts. So anyway, shout out to Donald for bringing
I
that
love
to
it. Oh,
our
that's so
channel.
cool. I'd love to connect with him too.
Oh,
So
I'm sure
Absolutely.
he would love that.
Oh, yeah,
So that
for
would be
sure.
a cool
Right.
connect if we could do
Uh-huh.
that for him. But anyways, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Good.
Yeah, and if anybody
I know we could
is
talk
interested
forever.
and they haven't seen that interview, go back and look it up on the channel. It was about what, a year ago that we talked
throw it
about.
up.
Yeah, and he also has his own YouTube channel now, so we could maybe share that.
Oh, yeah,
That might
perfect.
be a good idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
Great. I love it. All the synergy here.
Right, right.
Absolutely.
I'm
Absolutely.
always down for a good collab, but that's besides the point. All right, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Leslie. And to our audience that's sticking around, please do us a favor and smash that like button. Click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below. I just punched myself in the face. And share this message with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. All right,
All right.
so we always end the show with much love, peace, and namaste. Can you join us?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll do it
Okay.
slower.
Okay,
Much
yeah.
love,
Much love.
peace,
Peace.
and namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Aloha.
All right.
Aloha.
Hello, creator. I have a question for you. When you were a kid, how did you play? What sort of games and imaginations would you wake up in the morning and get so excited about? And you would run outside and get together with your friends and just dive into these creations. How did you play when you were a kid? My name is Allison Holly, and I am the creator and founder of True Creator Summer Camp. This is our annual adult spiritual summer camp retreat where we get to play with all of the fun things that this awakening journey has opened up for us. And this includes things like learning how to verbally channel, an ET contact circle, dance parties, manifestation workshops, nature excursions, yoga, cacao ceremonies, all of these incredible things that make it fun to play as an adult. So I want to invite you to summer camp. Go ahead and click the link and I'll see you there.
All right, guys, I got an exclusive deal for you. Our soul sister, Allison Holly, is offering a $200 discount for her True Creator Summer Camp 2025 just for you. Use the code HelloAllie at checkout to claim your spot in this magical, heart-expanding adult summer camp experience. Payment plans are available too, so you can follow your joy without the stress. Let your inner child come out to play, and we'll see you in the forest.